Surrounding ourselves with plants in our home brings a sense of tranquility and peacefulness. So last year we decided to bring plants into our home to hopefully bring the outdoors in. This quickly turned into a self-care routine, nurturing plants that in turn nurtured us in more ways than just providing oxygen. Taking care of them has helped us slow down, become more mindful and patient with the process of growth. And caring for them has become a routine that helps us get centered before we take on the world each day. Starting with our biggest plant, the birds of paradise. This plant gets its name from the leaves that split resembling the wings of a bird. We use stakes to hold the plant upright as it insists on leaning to one side as the plant stems new leaves, making one side particularly heavy. You can use a stick and a rope to hold it in place and correct its stance. The plant can benefit from occasional misting. A cool fact about the leaves is that it splits to let the wind pass through so as to not break the leaves. Across the room, we have a baby birds of paradise that sits next to the TV. It too has a stake and rope to prevent it from leaning. As for watering, you want to have good drainage, and having a tray base will allow any remaining water to run off. It's best to keep it in indirect sunlight, even though it can withstand direct sun once acclimated. Right next to the birds of paradise, we have two peace lilies not too far from each other. They have nice foliage and are said to be good at filtering the air. They drink up water quite fast, especially when they've outgrown the pot like ours have. We might split them up into 2 more containers as they seem to be overcrowding at this point. A good dose of fertilizing helps these plants grow nice and green. We use Miracle-Gro plant food for most of our plants. You may want to wipe them down occasionally as indoor dust can easily settle on the foliage. A wet napkin and water works just fine. The plants tend to bloom in the spring and summer season, and the white flowers are actually hooded leaves, just a different color. I DIY'd this old ice cream tub with some jute rope and tassels for a boho look. Next up is possibly the most resilient plant in our plant lineup, the Pothos Plant. These plants have seen their share of no watering and mostly lack of sunlight, but that's where they thrive. The plant is fine without direct sunlight and can basically survive without much intervention other than regular watering, which could be split up across weeks. We do, however, fertilize and water them every week just because we want them to grow fast. Sitting in the corner without much need for sunlight, the snake plant doesn't need to be catered to too often. Being a succulent, it barely needs watering, and indirect sunlight works just fine. Below, sitting at the base of the plant corner, are the 2 cacti succulents. They're adorable, but are rather prickly at times. We've had our share of tweezer time trying to get rid of needles off of our hands, and we may be selling these off in need of an owner that does know how to take care of them without getting pricked. The elephant's ears. These plants are a standalone plant in our living room, growing beautiful big leaves, hence the name elephant's ears. In order to keep them healthy, we fertilize them frequently as they are heavy feeders. Also, keep the soil moist, not wet, allowing any excess water to run off. Outside in the balcony, we have the Bougainvillea plant, which blooms flowers throughout the year. Currently, there's no bloom because we're letting the plant recover from sunburn, which happened a few months ago. We learned that these plants are best suited for indirect sunlight. The leaves can get tender and burn off in a matter of days if exposed to too much heat. Frequent pruning of the stems about 6 to 12 inches back will allow the plant to send its energy into blooming more flowers instead of vines. These are great crawlers for a small balcony. Keeping it pruned will leave your corner colored with its bright fuchsia blooms. The cherry tomatoes. This was unintentional. I had thrown some cherry tomato seeds as compost in our Kalanchoe pot, and to our surprise, we now have some organic cherry tomatoes growing in our little balcony. The leaves have seen some sunburn, but the plant has been recovering and flowering new buds. The tomatoes share the pot with the Kalanchoe plant, which is quite the opposite when it comes to maintenance. As for the Kalanchoe, there are two variants. One flowers pink, while the other has white flowers. These plants have been tricky to take care of as we're still trying to figure out the ideal spot for it to be placed. Best is indirect sunlight, which means we may be moving it next to the Bougainvillea along the wall. And lastly, our newest addition to the plant family, the rose bush. This one has white roses, and we love that it balances out the bright pink blooms of the Bougainvillea in our balcony. The plant loves weekly fertilizing, and we use Miracle Grow Bloom Booster because the NPK value of the Bloom Booster is 15-30-15 with a high value for phosphorus. This mixture is great if you'd like to get more flowers out of your plants. We hope you liked our little plant tour. We love all of our plants and are thankful for how they've improved our lives throughout time. We are no way close to what we would like our house to look like, but adding these plants have been a start. All the links will be in the description box below. Thank you for watching.